Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
We at Pack Your Knives love to draft, so much so that we decided to draft Top Chef contestants live on the podcast. Drafting is the best, and if you're into fantasy sports, I got a stat for you. Did you know that your chances of winning on draft are 80% better than on salary cap sites? That's why Draft is my favorite fantasy site. No more getting crushed by the pros. And it's not just me, more than 1 million people that have already downloaded Draft too. Play in a real live NBA draft right now and be done in under 5 minutes. Get paid out the very next day. Drafts are filling every second, so you can join one whenever you want. All new players get a free entry into a real money draft when you make your first deposit. But make sure to use my promo code HEALTHY, HEALTHY, HEALTHY. That's right, play in a real money draft for free just by using my promo code HEALTHY. But it gets even better. Draft is so sure you'll love it that they're even offering Pack Your Knives listeners a money-back guarantee of up to $100. Just search Draft in your app store or go to draft.com and play free right now with promo code HEALTHY.
It's Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom. Don't project that on me, Kevin Haberstroh.
I will do no projection. This is not a Freudian broadcast. But you know what, Tom? I loved the challenges this week. I loved the elimination challenge. There was adrenaline. It was the Olympic Games of Top Chef, right? I mean, you want to explain this better than I can?
I mean, this was a tour de force of an episode, and I know sometimes of this the scoring structure can get a little too forced, but this was great television. This was really fun to watch. The first quickfire was basically Brooke came on with Padma at 6 a.m. and said, "Hey, you guys are gonna make crepes, and sponsored by Nutella, and you have to make Nutella, and a lot of people made crepes, but." We'll get into the actual scoring system of the elimination challenge, but man, this was a fire episode. This was it had the drama, it had the technique. I learned a few things. There was a callback with Brooke, and I think this was a really fun episode.
Yeah, I mean, there was adrenaline, and I think basically walking the contestants into this Roman Colosseum where yeah, bad metaphor, right? Because the Olympics are Greek, but just this stadium with like cheering people and like the judges up on these sort of platforms. There was adrenaline. There was second by second anxiety. The live audience element, I thought, injected a huge amount of energy into the room. And as you said, I love this speed, precision, creativity, right? Like you're taking 3 skills, you're measuring them. It also lends itself to a lot of conflict because, as Tanya said, and Tanya was the unfortunate eliminatee this week, precision was sort of the consolation prize. It seemed like there were some of those categories and events that were more conducive to success and grandeur than others, and others that were just landmines, waiting to destroy a contestant. And we got real personality conflicts. I mean, let's start there. Basically, you could kind of see what was brewing early on. And, from the moment the teams were sort of organized, Tom, I don't know about you, I'm always fascinated when the judges basically introduce the elimination challenge a third of the way through the episode and then say, okay, you guys find teams.
Oh,
because
man.
it is a
So
very
fun.
schoolyard anthropological exercise. You like to see the social machinations of this group and how it works. And I thought the most interesting moment was Chris in his cutaway interview was sort of like, I'm a little over the bear thing, And
that's you, man. That's your id right there.
Well, so here's the issue, right? So there is a certain level of social dynamic that has emerged in this season, and there is this group now. I mean, Tyler was the originator, but it's Bruce, it's Joe Flam, and now kind of Joe Stash is the new Tyler, and it's these 3 kind of white dudes who call themselves the Bears, and I want to kind of shout some support for Chef Chris here, because I think one of the pleasures of middle adulthood, especially if you're a guy who kind of grew up as a loner, or a girl for that matter who grew up as a loner socially, is that you generally as an adult don't have to endure formal cliques anymore. Yep. It's like the real life Heathers game is over. And so I think one of the things that happens is you hear Chris say this whole Bear Clan thing is getting to me a little bit. I can imagine it's pretty insufferable to be a grown-ass man in his late 40s watching 3 other grown men huddle up right next to you when it's time to pick teams as if you don't exist. And
but But Kevin, this is part of the game. This is part of the strategy. Is do you want to
establish an alliance, essentially.
Establish an alliance so that in these moments when there are team challenges, you can lean on some other teammates. And that is, I think, a choice that a lot of Top Chef players or chef testants have to decide early on is, do I want to engage in the fraternization of Top Chef and become the bro-y or cliquey side of like engaging in that sort of that culture, right? So like the fascinating thing is Joe Stash was adopted by the Bears and he's wearing the bear slippers at the Quickfire, and it was such a, we had this actually a few days ago. I was in New York City for Bleacher Report meetings, and as part of like kind of like a team building exercise, we had to break off into groups, and we did the same exact thing, which was like,
grab Howard Beck. You better grab Howard Beck.
We did. Like,
you grabbed Howard Beck. Okay, he's your bear.
But here's the thing: is like, Kevin, you subconsciously, when you're in a room, you sit next to people that you like or want to associate yourself, and there's just the gravity, the subconscious gravity of like, all right, everyone's walking into a giant conference room. There's 30 people. And then they suddenly say, all right, now break into groups of 4. And you turn around, you're like, oh, I'm already sitting next to my friends here. So like I was already sitting next to Jonathan Abrams and Howard Beck and Brandon Sneed at Bleacher Report. And we just looked at each other like, all right, we're the group of 4. And the funny thing is, and this is a sidebar.
Did you have a name for your group? So yeah, go ahead though. I want to hear the story.
So they go, all right, your groups of 4 are going to come up with a TV show based on 2 separate ideas. So we're going to raise our hands, and everyone's going to, when your team of 4 is up, we're just going to say 2 concepts, and you have to bring 2 concepts together. And of course, they knew that I was doing this Pack Your Knives show, this podcast, Kevin. And so when our team of 4 came up, they go, cooking competition show that involves chess. So we had to come up with a cooking show in 3 minutes. It was like its own Top Chef episode where Abrams, Beck, and Brandon and I are sitting around trying to conceive this show within 4 minutes of what a cooking show involving chess would look like. And at the end of the day, I realized that we're subconsciously associating ourselves or walking into a room in cliques. You know, you don't even realize what you're doing. And I think on the episode of Top Chef is there were the cliques already forming. And that's why I think Chris Scott's confessional there was so interesting is, you know, this is part of the game of Top Chef is these alliances can come in handy in situations like this, where if you are a loner and you want to be independent and you want to, play to the own, what is that? The drum of your own beat. What is that idiom?
Yeah. You march to the drum.
The
beat of your
if you
own
want
drum.
to do that, if you wanted to, thank you, Kevin. If you want to do that, that's cool. But in situations like this, it could backfire.
Yeah, no, listen, I just finished Sebastian Junger's Tribe, right? So the whole in-group, out-group thing is fascinating to me. And it was interesting to watch these three guys, you know, especially kind of seeing it through the eyes of Chris, right? He's older than them. He's a black guy who grew up in small town central Pennsylvania. So I imagine that much of his life, and I'm being presumptuous here, and Chris, tell me if I'm wrong, like much of his life is basically watching three husky, you know, middle America white dudes kind of click up while he's kind of watching it from afar saying, and they have a name for their clique, right? So whereas I totally agree with you from a strategic standpoint. I mean, I think my move would be on that show if I had Chris's talent from, as you say, from week one, just kind of go up to Fatima at an appropriate time, a couple days into the competition and say, hey, look, there are going to be moments we're going to ask us to pair up or triple up or quad up. Can we just sort of have a tacit understanding that in those moments for elimination, if we're not drawing knives, that we are kind of, you know, because that's the move to make, right? Because otherwise then you end up with, you know, in a high-risk environment. And because I will give this, the Bears are not just a concentration of dudes who, by the way, I am really fond of all of them. And I love their cooking, and Kalman seems like the sweetest guy, and it's clear he has so much goodwill, and you know, those other guys seem pretty cool, but they are also almost a mathematical certainty not to end up on the bottom, given the concentration of talent with 9 contestants left of those 3 people.
Yes, 1,000%. And I actually thought, as a side note, Joe Flam was so funny on this episode. I want to hang out with Joe Flam.
Yeah,
I know
I agree.
He was so funny. I mean, every line he had, especially up on the podium when Padma's like, your medal's backwards. And he's like, this is my first gold. It's my first gold. I'm nervous. Joe is great. And I thought from the get-go, when they had the 3 Bears together, I was like, that is going to be just a banger trio. They're gonna not finish in the bottom 3. And of course they did show out. But this is I was curious, like, what did you think of the brewing vendetta between Tanya and Claudette? Like, did you see that happening? I know the editing team from Top Chef was kind of planting those seeds early on in the episode that Tanya was just kind of getting fed up with the competition itself. But holy this was Ali Frazier.
Yeah, so I think it was a confluence of events that kind of did Tanya in. I mean, one is, this is something to understand about Tanya. She's 52 years old, okay? This is a woman who grew up in upstate New York, went to UVA and majored in Russian and Russian lit before Claudette and some of these other chefs were even born, okay? I mean, so I think you have to kind of zoom out, and as, you know, I feel for her. You know, she's published 2 cookbooks. She's trained in Europe. She's been a successful chef in Boston and New York and received tons of awards and recognition and been honored by the city of Oakland with Tanya Hollanday. Got the key to the damn city. She's a luminary among African-American chefs, anyone who works in the genre of Southern and soul food cooking. And, like, here she is sort of, watching the Bears and watching these young kind of bitchy chefs. And so from the outset, she hated the assignment, right? Like, she got the consolation prize. She wanted speed, and she was completely miscast in the precision event, right? This is like asking DeMar DeRozan to enter the three-point contest, right?
Hey, he's doing much better lately.
Doing much better, but I think we can agree that that probably not an apt contestant this February for the three-point. Right, and by the way, won't embarrass himself. Tanya didn't embarrass herself. But It was a complete, you can contrast it with Adrienne, right? Who's on the other end of the spectrum in terms of technical cooking. She totally embraced the geeky demands of the challenge. She's in Whole Foods saying, oh, how cool is it going to be to look at different shaped fruits and cut them in different ways? Tanya's like, fuck that shit. Like, I cook by feel. She's asked to name a temperature. Like, I make that flank steak that you've had at my house at 130, right? For that nice medium rare kind of sear. I mean, for myself, I make it at 125 because I eat basically raw meat. But she called out 145, and the irony, of course, is she cooked it perfectly, but by feel. So from the moment she got the assignment, she was hating it.
Let me ask you this, Kevin.
She doesn't want to play the 5, and you're asking her to play the 5.
I want to know what you think about the whole the wrench of throwing the temperature. I guess like hitting the temperature right? Because I almost feel like
it's too punitive.
If you're like Tanya. Well, that first of all, but secondly, the concept of it, I found it like asking Steph Curry at what degree angle are you going to hit this shot? Like it's all feel for him, right? Like asking Klay Thompson, like what is the degree of your angle of your jump shot? Like that the arc needs to, the trajectory of your jump shot needs to, in order to get in the middle of the basket. It's a little too precise and scientific for me when it's the sport of cooking is a lot of just feel. And I think Tanya hit on that is I don't know what temperature it needs to be. I just know by feel, by instinct, by just my gut. I know what is properly cooked or how it needs to be cooked. And that's the concept of having to name the temperature and hit that temperature exactly, I felt like was a little too much science when it needed to be more art. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciated to me, the heartbreak is she actually was very precise. She just didn't name the number. In my opinion, what they should have done is told her the number. 130, 125, right? Like we're going for medium. We're looking here is for medium rare, and basically it's an understanding in the cooking community that when you cook a lamb shank, it is X degrees at medium rare, and that's what we're going to be looking for. So they can call it whatever they want, 128. And then I would do that rather than her call out a number, because that was sort of the heartbreak, right? Is she actually she nailed the preparation by feel, so she was a precise chef. She just doesn't work with numbers, and I think and also I thought the scoring system was way too punitive. I think it should have been like maybe every 5 degrees you get a point, but I mean that's even rough. But I thought,
did you think it was going to be taken off the total score like me?
That's what I thought. And then take it off the total score. Not that was way too punitive. Especially again in Tanya's case, because I mean, first of all, if you overcook the meat and you're off your number, you're going to get punished anyway.
Exactly.
Because it's not going to be good. So it was overly punitive as a scoring system. Not a fan at all. And yet, again, the second week in a row, someone goes home for a tasty dish for what I call a non-palate error, right? Like this was it didn't taste bad.
Right. However, with Tanya, she really got screwed over by being in the precision round rather than the actual the speed round, because she had no fucking idea what the cuts were, but yet it tasted really good, right? Like it was heartbreaking to see that. And I felt like the scoring system was a little off. And I had a question for you. I didn't know if you caught this, but I'm going to go on a rant here. Sorry. I'm going to go on a rant. I don't think Chris deserves to get any points deducted from our fantasy team. Look, he had a killer dish, okay? I traded for this dude, and he has a killer dish that scored a fucking 51 by the judges, the second highest score of all the competitors here behind Joe Stash, and he gets thrown to the bottom 3.
Yeah. So
what the fuck, dude? Like this is bullshit. That the team structure, if an individual like Chris shows out and just dominates and he gets a high score, there should be no deduction. I know we can't go back to the constitution of the fantasy rules, but man, that really hurt when Chris got deducted for being in the bottom 3 just because he was lumped in with Claudette and Tanya. Fuck that.
So all right.
Sorry.
So I in spirit totally agree with you. If I were in a debate situation with you, I would refer to our previous conversation, which is part of the skill of Top Chef is landing on teams that you know are going to be good. And That would be my debate, even though I kind of in spirit agree with you. And if I was commissioner, I would. Yeah, I don't know how we would I don't know how we would reconstitute the rules. So, like,
well, I guess this is just part of the residue of the scoring system. This is just you can't be perfect, but man, Chris got a 51. Joe Stash got a 51.5 in that elimination challenge.
Boy, was that, by the way. Can I just talk about carrot shavings? Like a guy who can, like, that was gorgeous. Just he's really.
Let's put that on a shirt. Can I just talk about carrot shavings?
No, but it's a great line. We've kind of spiraling them into these gorgeous little, this ornamentation and giving it a little crisp. He did, for those who don't remember, he did a lovely short rib pasta. And with color and texture and with ramps.
Creativity.
Ramps are yummy. I always feel like ramps are much more of a Northeastern thing, and somebody should tweet us and let me know. Am I correct that I don't see ramps a lot in California cooking, but I feel like when I go to the Northeast United States, I see them a lot, even though obviously it was Colorado. They're essentially, I've always thought of them as sort of a garlicky scallion. And they're lovely and delicious. And there was a lot of ramp going on Team Blue there. I want to talk about Bruce because we've talked about whether chefs should come to the competition armed with some dishes in their back pocket. And he outright confessed that he did. And he also mentioned that he tabbed it for the perfect challenge, right? Like a speed dish where you pretty much have leeway to do what you want, but you got to do it quickly and in a competition. In a head-to-head-to-head. And so this, to me, is the perfect example of how to arrive at a competition of Top Chef with, well, I want to do this dish. I know I have this in my back pocket. This is where you whip it out. You got to do this in 45 minutes. And he comes up with that polenta dish, which the judges loved.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when we conceive stories, Kevin, for the NBA beat, you kind of do the same thing where it's like, I have all these stories in my back pocket. Now I have to time it. Do I want to bring out the Steph Curry story in December when everyone's going to want to know that story in June and it's going to really hit? And this is what Bruce is doing right now. When he figured out that he needs to just do his food and kind of shoehorn it into the competition, that's when he took off. I mean, the last 4 episodes, I think he has just been on a tear. I'm so glad I didn't trade him last week because I don't think he's the favorite. I think Joe Stash is the favorite because he's just got the perfect combination of skill and he's a likable character. People like him, and he's also just a fucking technical chef. I think he's the favorite at this point, but Bruce is really hitting his stride, man.
I agree. What's also interesting is that, I'm looking at the thing. So Tanya is out with a previous win. We've had a lot of that in this show. Actually, no, we haven't. Tyler was the only other contestant. I take that back. Tyler's the only other contestant that had a win under their belt so far when they're out. But yeah, Bruce is a win high last 3 weeks. Win high.
Yeah, in low, win high on the Wikipedia page. And I wanted to ask you about this thing because we saw it again. I would love to know the analytics on this. This might be an off-season project. But why do we have the immunity chefs compete in the elimination challenge? Because I think in the last 3 or 4, maybe this whole show, they just kind of coast. The blue cheese. Carrie had an amazing dish for the quick fire. The habanero jelly.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. Describe this because I have some notes on this. I love this.
So she comes in. Everyone's making kind of the standard either waffles or crepes, and she comes in with an eggs Benedict with a habanero jelly, Nutella, and it is the most creative
prosciutto
dish.
And a classic hollandaise.
Yeah, and it was like, whoa, I don't know. Like when I heard the ingredients, I was like, that is a lot. That is a lot of things going on, right? That sounds like Katsuji again, where he's just bringing in way too many different ingredients, and how is that going to mesh together? Carrie's been doing this recently, where when the story of the dish, when she explains it initially, I'm like, that's not going to work, and she really makes it work, and not just work, but like the cake in the snow, when she baked a cake in the snow, I was like, that's going to be a total disaster. And she comes out brilliantly. And Carrie is sneaky good this season. Carrie, I don't know if it's her personality or if it's the fact that we drafted her like 15th. Like, I feel like she was one of the last picks of our draft. She deserves to be a strong contender for Top Chef. Don't you agree?
I do agree, and I think she's the perfect embodiment of the fact that if you can execute risk on Top Chef, you can be gold. And she's somebody who can execute risk. And I don't know where I'm putting her right now. Again, it's hard to look at the field for me. Like, all right, I mean, pop quiz. I want to go back to Carrie in a second.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now, open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts. No monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
All things being equal, gun to your head, who's out next week? Who's the bottom chef of this group right now?
I'm gonna.
We've got 8 players left, so we'll probably get Restaurant Wars next week.
Okay, so
that's a tough one. But like, if all things being equal, cook for your life, who's out next week?
I think Adrian is so good and so technical and so almost like an academic. I feel like she could be a librarian. The way she speaks, the tone, and the
well, she said she's a teacher. She teaches at a culinary institute.
Yeah, like I just feel like this. She's been in the bottom for like probably 3 or 4 episodes. I just feel like she would probably be the most likely. She has the fewest points in our fantasy scoring system. So maybe Adrian would be my pick here, or Flan. I don't know.
This goes to my point, but and that would be my instinct too. But when you kind of look at her portfolio, she doesn't fuck up a lot. I mean, and her fuck ups have it. Look, if she corrects this salt situation, where they and frankly, she kind of got the best corrective possible, which is to be humiliated by chefs for not salting, and I can't imagine that's going to happen again because she's an adaptable chef and she's really good at what she does. So like, my instinct would be like, yeah, Adrian would be next, but like, she just doesn't fuck up a lot. Like, she's a really good technical chef. You know, she nails her proteins and now has solved this seasoning issue. So I will say this about Carrie. She's sneaky, but then she goes with this rich bomb for her main. I mean, I love blue cheese, but a blue cheese sauce, like, has to be used selectively. I mean, I can't see a scenario where beef short ribs and butter poached mushrooms would ever call for something rich. If anything, I think you want something to cut through the richness. You don't want to compound it. Yeah. And that's an instinct that, like, I'm a doofus. And I, like, the minute I thought, like, why would blue cheese on that is just, I don't know. I don't think there are a lot of chefs who can pull that off. It's just, you need something a little brighter. Fatima, by the way, her candied turkey bacon thing, I don't think she got in the top 3 for the breakfast, but I liked it.
Yeah, the whole look.
I'm waiting for her breakout, by the way.
I know, me too.
I'm waiting for the Fatima breakout.
She's look at her projection or trajectory in this show. High, like, so top 3 on the first 3 episodes. And she doesn't finish in the bottom 3 or the top 3 since. She's just kind of in the middle, right? She
but I know she's better than a 46 win team.
She is. She 1000%. So
can we give a shout out to her?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, because we saw you had brought to my attention on Instagram. She's in a fight.
So she is dealing with a bone and tissue cancer, which is heartbreaking. Of course, anyone dealing with a battle against cancer is heartbreaking, but I think she's 28 years old. And as someone who's dealt with this with my sister who had Hodgkin's lymphoma when she was 30 years old, this is particularly hard for anyone, a young person dealing with a cancer fight, but also just the public view of having to deal this. I feel so bad for Fati, and especially for Padma on Instagram. Padma came by the hospital and took a picture and spent some time with Fati. And those are the kind of moments where you're just like, I love humanity. You know, it was such a touching thing to see that Fati and Padma were together during this after she went through chemotherapy. We're rooting for you, Fati. Anytime you're feeling up to it, you have front of the line on this show as a guest.
Yes, and I'm so into her kicking cancer's ass, and she has been such a bright spirit. It's funny because you don't know a person. Like, we know her on television, right? And there's certain windows into a person, and it pretty much, I think you and I would agree, we love everything we see about this person. And
you know what? There was a moment when Bruce found out that he was going to be a father. You know, the water broke, and you know who ran up to him first?
It was Fatima.
Yeah.
This is just like, she conveys again. It's television, so it's such an odd. You know, it's odd to be speaking about someone as if you know them, but she just conveys such a total warmth and care for people. And, you know, even a moment like Carrie's dish bombed, and she's like, you know, what did she say? It makes no sense. And that's what you like. I imagine that going through life, if Fatima is rooting for you, must be a very fun project as a friend or a family member or a colleague. So we wish her the best, and I hope we get positive updates. And she seems like an extraordinary person. And yeah.
I'm in New York City right now, and I was kind of hoping that I could go eat one of her dishes at a local restaurant. She's opening up a restaurant now, and I can't wait to go. Like, I will be there as soon as that damn thing opens, because I'm such a big fan.
Yeah, I have a trip to New York in late March. I will need Top Chef recommendations, and I will be there with Eric. So we've got a couple dinners and a couple lunches. So I will have to. You'll have to prepare me a scout list. Let's get back to Tanya, because there was more rancor and contentiousness than we've seen, and it was essentially between two people.
She went after Carrie. She went after Carrie, of all people. Like,
wait,
how do you go after Carrie?
Remind me when.
There was a moment in the break room.
Yes.
You know, when they're talking, and Carrie says something like, I forget it was a very benign, innocuous comment to Tanya, and Tanya says, "We don't all experience the world the same way. Wake up, Carrie. Get woke."
Yeah, and I mean, she again, and I want to go back to sort of my thing. I mean, she, you know, I don't think temperamentally this is a great matchup for her in terms of the competition show. You were in close quarters. She has made previous reference to the largeness of personalities on the show and how it was grading. You know, Claudette kind of throws her under the bus.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you know, it's interesting. Joe Flam made note of the fact that it was a pattern. He was standing next to Adrian, who'd gotten sort of the treatment from Claudette on a previous challenge. But what I really respect most of all is Chris completely pleading ignorance in the post-game press conference. I didn't see it. You're in the scrum after the game, and there was an incident. You asked the coach, well, what did you see? What happened between Blake and so and so? And the coach was like, oh no, I don't see it. We'll have to watch the tape. And it's like, oh motherfucker, you know exactly what happened. I kind of felt like it was watching the NBA, like it was like covering an NBA fight where, like, the post game press conference, the coach pleads absolute ignorance when he knows damn well what happened. And Chris is just so Chris. Perfect. Much respect to you, sir, because. That is exactly the way to handle that, is to plead ignorance. You want no part of that. You want no dynamics. You don't want to be touched or corroded by it. And so you just say, first I'm hearing about the fact that the two people I was cooking next to for the last hour were completely, at war with one another.
There's a term in the NBA where we call it business decision, when Kevin Durant is barreling down the lane and LeBron James is the only thing between him and the basket. And what does LeBron James do? He steps aside. It's a business decision. It is not worth getting dunked on by contesting that basket. And that's exactly what Chris did there. It was a business decision. Like, you know what? I'm not getting in the middle of this. I'm going to plead ignorance. And it was the smart move. Cause that was brutal. And I thought Tanya saying, I don't want to comment on my side of the story was so interesting, because that was almost like the immunity giving, like Jamie Lynch from last season giving up immunity on principle and seeing if that would garner some goodwill with the judges, and she went home anyway.
I don't even think it was that. I don't think she did it strategically. I just think that she at that moment kind of felt outside the whole competition. I mean, she said something in, again in the break room afterwards where basically suggested to the Bear group, which was sort of celebrating their win and a well-earned win, and I don't want to begrudge them that, but that she basically said, it's their party, win or lose, and everybody else is a supporting actor in their buddy movie, right? And Tanya strikes me as a person, in the words of Greg Popovich, who's over herself. Yep. And I think she'd said that she was relieved to get eliminated, and again, you have to appreciate what a pressure cooker in social demands to be with these people every day and every night, sleeping in bunks with them. And again, if you're a 52-year-old woman, like, who's experienced what she's experienced over time, like, I imagine it's just insufferable. And then added to it, you have the Claudette thing. She kind of gets not bullied into, but kind of she gets dropped into this role that she's completely not suited to. And working with a partner with whom she has bad chemistry, and who hasn't been the easiest contestant to work with. And I just think it all came to a head. And I think there's a grain of truth in possibly every one of her objections.
Yes.
I think, those guys, if you're not them, it probably does feel like it's their party and everybody else in the show is a supporting actor. And no one likes to feel like a supporting actor. It is true that, like, she got screwed with the precision thing.
Yep.
So I think that's what was going on. And there's a part of me, like, did she acquit herself well? I don't think so, but I feel for her. Like, I
feel for her too.
I know her world. I know her head. I have some of that, and I enjoy. I can't wait. I'm going to be up in Oakland. I'm hopefully going to get up there very, very soon.
Do not cross Tanya. Do not mess with her. I mean, that was the lesson from this episode. She went after Carrie. She went after Gail when she said, "Don't project that on me. I'm not upset for either of those reasons, Gail." I was like, yo, it's like, man, you went after Gail. If we can get Gail on the show on this podcast, that's one of the top questions I'm going to ask is,
Gail Simmons, if you are a listener, please contact us.
Because I want to know what was on the cutting room floor of that comment, because it kind of, she said it, Tanya did, and we didn't get Gail's reaction, but we should probably mention this. Did you notice all the split screens on this episode, Kevin?
Yeah, no, you brought this to my attention.
John Besh was a judge on the judges' table this week, and he was edited out of the episode by the Bravo producers because of the sexual harassment allegations. 25 women at the New Orleans-based group, the Besh restaurants, came forward and accused him of sexual harassment. He was edited out completely, and there's a Reddit post that shows like 6 hidden screen grabs from the episode where you can see John Besh on the episode. And I wonder, is that why the scoring system was so screwy? Because they showed the scores, but they didn't add up together. Did you notice that?
Oh, so in other words, no, I didn't. So they added those 6 windows. No, they were, there were 6 numbers and 6, weren't they? They didn't add up.
So if you caught this, I caught it when I was watching. There was some why am I blanking out on this term? Small print? Why am I blanking out? There was, at the end of the episode, I'm having a brain fart. At the end of the episode.
Welcome to early middle age, Tom.
Look, I'm in a hotel room with my 1-year-old daughter in New York City. We didn't get much sleep last night. Anyway, so the small print at the end of the show when they're promoting the Last Chance Kitchen, there is a little note. points depicted may not accurately reflect the points actually awarded.
Ooh.
However, the outcome was not affected. The episode accurately reflects the order of the teams in each round and at the conclusion of the challenge based on points earned. That right there, I think, is an admission that they had they shot. They said, oh, he scored 51 points. But when you add it up, I don't think it adds up to 51 because John Besh was one of the judges.
So they cut out. So they actually, apparently, it sounds like they cut out his score, but despite his absence, the order still remained the same, which makes sense. If you took out one, I can't imagine it made much of a difference on any of the events.
Right. I feel like one of the judges are going to, like, generally speaking, I think the judges were, lockstep with each other in terms of the scores. But again, like, Chris being in the bottom three really aggravated me because they forced I feel like Tom said something, like, critiqued his dish, and it was like, it seemed forced because he got a really good score, like the kimchi. There's something about it where Colicchio basically said, like, the kimchi wasn't strong, or he didn't get enough flavor. I don't know what it was, but
that tofu cream
I'm still
burnt. That tofu cream was sort of
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm still burnt by Chris being in the bottom three for having one of the best dishes.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I would be too if I hadn't traded him.
So, Kevin, you want an update on the scores?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're closing the gap, is what I'm guessing.
The gap is almost closed.
Yeah.
After a huge lead early on, Kevin, you are hanging on by a thread, 114 points to 108. So it is a 6-point differential right now. This past episode, I got 31 points and you got 6. Claudette checked in with 0 for being in the bottom 3 in the overall, but having one of the top dishes at the quickfire. Christopher somehow is getting me -3 points despite having a great dish. After I traded for him, he's not performing as good as Claudette. The early returns are south for me on that trade, especially when you have the pick swap. If people don't know what we're talking about, I made a trade. I got Christopher and I gave up a 4-5 pick swap for next year's draft. In return, you got Claudette. So far, the early returns are not strong, but I still feel like Chris had a better overall episode, a good bounce back from last week compared to Claudette.
Yeah, and again, I still think we're in a wide open episode. I mean, I do think, as you do, that Mustache Joe is the clubhouse favorite right now. But that said, and he's actually now officially the first contestant with 2 elimination wins. So that can now be substantiated by scoring, I'm assuming. Yeah. But to me, it's still wide open. This is a really interesting season. And chefs you perceive to be not as strong, you look down and like they're winning stuff left and right, like Carrie. Chris has 3 lows, though. That's deceiving, as you said. He cooked well and finished bottom 3 this week. So it's a really interesting time. Hey, I want to do a quick meal report. I just had an extraordinary meal, and I just want to give a shout out to my experience at Shibumi in Los Angeles. That's David Schlosser's kind of capo style Japanese joint. It basically is. Can
you spell that for me?
What?
Shibumi?
Shibumi. Shibumi. It's on Hill Street.
Okay.
In the historic core of downtown Los Angeles. Great space. Oh, is it a great space? I love sitting at that. I think it's like a walnut counter, basically a bar, and it is, but it's low, and it is fantastic. I learned, and one of the reasons I loved it is, and I don't know my server's name, I forget his name, but I kind of learned stuff as I went. Like, I asked lots of questions, and like I learned more about koji, which is sort of it's fermented rice that is sort of the ultimate umami marinade, and how you can mix it with shoyu soy and kind of leave it for a year and really let it set. And so I'm doing all sorts of fun things with Japanese cooking in the next month, just from pointers. It's fun to leave a restaurant where you're inspired to go home and do cool shit. And I had that kind of experience. They had a sardine and a koji shoyu marinade that was out of this world. They had all kinds of. They went from their cold tofu dish, I know as cold, was turned to hot for the season, with little salmon eggs. It is such a beautiful eating experience. And the other thing I loved about it was I've now been there 4 times, and I went in the first 3 months. I actually went with our friend Andrew Hahn, and it was good. And they still have my favorite heritage pork recipe, and actually another thing that Koji made wonderful. And we had a really good experience, but it wasn't, otherworldly. And then each successive time, and to the point where it was one of the first great meals of 2018 for me, my first great Los Angeles meal of 2018. And I just love leaving a place armed with tips and inspiration, and they seem so vested in the meal, and it was just a wonderful hour and a half.
Well, I'm working on a handicap here, Kevin. There should be a Yelp filter for high chairs. For someone who has a baby, this is really hard. We go into restaurant to restaurant is like, do you have a high chair? And we're working at a handicap because right now the pool of restaurants that we can go to, we're in New York City. We want to have a great meal, but we also have a 1-year-old, and it's really hard. I love my daughter, but we're working at a serious disadvantage here in terms of trying to get the best meal for a 24-hour span in New York City, because I got to make sure she can sit at the table. So I'm very jealous of you, Kevin, that you can just go to any restaurant you want and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
you don't
I'm
have
very
to worry
jealous
about
of you. You get to experience the miracle of fatherhood, and I'm just basically a gay man who worries about his material needs and his lifestyle and pretty much maintaining it, and that's all I care about. So I have no responsibilities and no anything. I just live essentially as Peter Pan. So you have a really meaningful life, and I'm sort of vacant and
No, this is our meaning right here, is pack your knives. This is the meaning that we have in our life. That's all we need, really. I mean, my daughter's great, but this is my baby.
I think we should spend a few minutes talking about Last Chance Kitchen, because there's some shit that's gone down that needs discussing. All right, first of all, explain, because I watched it 3 times. I don't understand. Was he hiding the plastic wrap? All right, so let's just set this up. It's Brother Luck versus 2. And will you explain? Because I'm still at a loss of what the crime was. Was he hiding it? Did he know and not tell him where it was, so it wasn't a first-degree lie? What the hell happened, Tom?
Okay.
Set it up for our audience.
This was very, very big. This was heated. This was 2 alpha males, I feel like, brother and 2, feeling like they're good, they're boys, they're friends, and then this fucking backstabbing act that it seems to me like a backstab, that what brother did was bordering on Bush League. I don't know, because, the editing of the show.
Was it a dirty play, Tom? Was it a dirty play?
I would, if I'm a referee, I'm throwing the flag on this.
Is that a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2?
I think it's a flagrant 1. It's not a flagrant 2 that warrants an ejection from the game, but you should get 2 free throws based on what he did.
Because fined. Does Kiki Vandeweghe? We need to call Kiki Vandeweghe. Kiki, if you're listening, Kiki does all the discipline for the NBA. He's a lovely man.
On the same token, there is a bit of desperation and a one-on-one cook-off.
I want to know what happened.
Okay,
what did
so
you see? Let's play some Rashomon here. And brother, you can phone in too. You can phone in. I want the story.
2 needed plastic wrap to do his dish.
To do his
correctly.
Basically an instant sous vide.
Right, and he asked brother, or I think he just said out loud, "Where is the plastic wrap? Do you know where it is, brother?" And brother said, "I don't know." He didn't. I don't know. Wait, I don't know if brother actually said "I don't know," but he didn't say "Yes, I know where it is," because brother knew the whole time where the plastic wrap. It was right there, right in the open, right under 2's nose, and yet he did not help him identify and locate the plastic wrap, and it ended up costing 2 mightily. And that, I think, was the offense, that the crime at stake here, is that brother knew exactly where the plastic wrap was, but he didn't divulge that information when 2 was obviously soliciting that information. Then
so it's a sin of omission, not a sin of commission.
I think that's exactly it. Now, brother and 2 can come on the show and dispute this. It does seem that there is a little bit of sting left. Apparently on this new Last Chance Kitchen, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been doing some reading, and apparently it is they keep bringing it back, that 2 is still feeling a little bit stung by this move by brother. And look, we have some witnesses. If Tyler wants to come, or Rogelio wants to come on and give a third party account of what went down, by all means, come on the show because we need the facts here, Kevin. This seems like a very controversial move. And this isn't one like Claudette and Tanya. This was two guys who I think are bros. I think they're friends. And yet brother did not tell him where the plastic wrap was. Now, here's my question.
Now, if he hid it or he had it or he was hoarding it, that would be absolutely unconscionable. However,
that would be a capital punishment.
But so he just doesn't tell him where it is. It's sort of a... Did he say actively, I don't like, did he ever utter a lie is my
I need
question.
to go back to the tape.
We have to go back to the tape. We got to get to the Sea Caucus, man. We got to, we need, this is an interesting one. I'm going to watch it again because I'm just trying to determine what level of affront, what level of moral imbecile brother must be. Or is it just sort of gamesmanship? Yeah, I mean, this also speaks to one of the great debates of the show, right?
Man, when your back's against the wall, like you gotta win, right?
Now, I mean, if it was in its rightful place and 2 just misses it, I mean, part of you could argue, and I'm not arguing this because I'm a 2 guy. I'm basically, and I'm also
using your number 1 draft pick.
I'm a give a brother a break kind of guy too. But you could argue that look, part of these quick fire or last chance, or it's essentially quick fires, is sort of whatever it is that your brain needs to go through these media, these very mundane tasks of, okay, I got to find the plastic wrap. Where in the pantry is this? Like that is your brain. And in pressure situations, you have to manage all of those questions. Where is this stuff? How can I find it? And so you can argue that a failure to basically provide that information isn't a huge crime, but
I'm with you on that.
Is it not classy or is it a true affront? I don't know. This is to be continued.
We need some witnesses to come to the stand, come to the pack your knives stand and confess what exactly happened. Was it Professor Plum with the candlestick in the conservatory? We need some answers.
Tom, it was a real pleasure. We're now down to 8 contestants. I believe, if we're correct, that means Restaurant Wars. But and it's my hope. And
that would be amazing.
And we might have to do a double. We might have to do a double episode of Restaurant Wars. We don't know. I'm not promising anything. I just know that Restaurant Wars is like my absolute favorite episode of television in a year.
Agreed, Kevin. That was a lot of fun. We didn't have a guest on the show this week, but I feel like this episode in particular needed a full recap by the 2 of us.
Tom, thanks. Travel safely. This is Pack Your Knives.